Bible verse, Matthew 10, verses 28 through 33.
All right. Hear anything else from anybody else? Where are the checks and balances? There's an old saying: absolute power ruins absolutely.
Taunted me by my name, so I decided to go by my middle name, which is James. That's the simple part for that.
Yeah.
What's up, good people? I am James Judah, and this is Shed Some Light. And we also have a special guest today who's going to introduce herself.
I am Sophia, and I have a show called From the Heart. And just a little bit of what my show is. I have different topics, and I basically apply scriptures to different issues that we may be dealing with on a daily. So come check it out and get a chance.
And it is
Subscribe
an awesome show, and it definitely is from the heart.
from the heart.
All right, so today we are going to be discussing the Breonna Taylor case. I'm just giving our uneducated opinion on the
Opinion, yeah.
matters that are at hand, and kind of we kind of feel, well, at least myself, speaking for myself, I smelled something a little fishy. So we're
Yeah,
just gonna,
yeah.
not that this is anything to take lighthearted.
Right.
We understand that the loss of life is detrimental to the family. She was a very well liked individual. She was smart. She was a nurse. She was putting herself on the front lines even in the pandemic. So we're not making light of the
Of anything.
situation.
Yeah.
We really are just giving our opinion on it, and it just smells fishy to us. So
Right. Right.
we watched the video on Hulu.
Yes.
New York Times presents the killing of Breonna Taylor. So what is your opinion on that, Miss From the Heart?
Um, like you stated, I truly believe that it's a sad situation, a life taken too soon, um, a situation that could have been handled very different as to all other situations that have been forthcoming recently with police and just um, all the different killings that are going on. And it's just sad that she's being added to that as well. Um, and then also other details that you don't really hear too much about in the media unless you specifically research or do your own reading on certain things. So the the special kind of shed some light on different different things that right that social media may have not addressed, because sometimes certain sides can push their agenda and only show you one side, and it's for you to really fill in the rest of it so you can have a better understanding of everything that's going on. um, I feel bad for her family. I feel bad for her boyfriend, because initially he was charged with shooting at a police officer, but he was really only trying to protect him and his girlfriend.
Right.
Um,
So Kentucky has that stand your ground law,
right,
and when we watched in the video, they would knock. So the old narrative was, or the old story was, is that they went into a wrong apartment,
right,
and they were looking for somebody else, but so happened to go into Breonna Taylor's.
Breonna Taylor.
That they
Right,
issued a no knock warrant, which is not the case. The warrant started off as a no knock warrant,
not right,
but the leadership decided not to go that route. But when it actually came down to the event, what happened was, is they knocked. The occupants, being Brianna and her
her
boyfriend,
boyfriend
replied, "Who is it? Who's there?" And the
didn't get a response.
officers didn't respond. Right.
Right.
So with the Louisville stand your ground law, do you think that he was in his rights, even if he didn't shoot, to have his weapon drawn when these individuals burst into his apartment or their apartment?
I feel like he was in the right. I mean, wouldn't you want to protect your family? Wouldn't you want to protect yourself? If, especially if you're asking who is it, and then you get no response, but you get all of this pounding on your door, and then the next thing you see is your door kicked in.
Right.
Like, I honestly feel like that would be the first reaction for anybody. And even if you didn't have a gun, like most people carry bats in their home, or you may go get a knife from your kitchen. Like,
Right.
if you feel like you're at some point being threatened, of course, that is your first instinct, is to protect yourself. You're
Right.
not going to just stand there and you know that you didn't invite anybody over. And the way that the knock is, they, with the police, they knock very, very aggressively at your door.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's,
very distinctive. You know when it's the police. Like if it's the
yes,
mailman or UPS or somebody, and they give that.
right.
You're like, man,
It's
what you
a
doing
very,
knocking like the police? Because that is
exactly,
synonymous with them. But on
yeah,
this occasion, as we watched in the video, she lived in an apartment complex, right?
right.
And
And the
there,
crazy thing is, not her apartment complex is kind of similar to the one that we live in. Like, it's a very big apartment complex. There's multiple buildings. You know, there's apartments literally close to it. You know, close to you, up and down. So it's so many similarities, to not to take away from what you were going to say, but just it's very similar, and that situation can happen to anybody.
right.
So
So what I was going to say, and you're right, it could happen to anybody. But what I was going to say is that, and it's an apartment complex, and to go back to the point of them knocking on the door, only one other person that lived in the apartment complex corroborated the story of the police officer, saying that they knocked and announced themselves. But the
right,
two other they interviewed three people. The two other people said we didn't hear nothing.
right,
We didn't hear not a thing. There was also they interviewed also several law enforcement officers or former law enforcement officers, and
right.
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but towards the end of the story or towards the end of the movie, he was saying that uh, their procedure is to yell that out so that
So
people within
everybody
a
can
hundred a hundred feet
see,
can
can
hear
hear,
you.
right.
So, and then he also said if you noticed on the phone call, there was silence.
Silence in the background.
There
Yes.
was silence in the background when the boyfriend called 911.
And
Now, if the
yes.
police were already there,
Hmm.
why did
Then
he,
you should be able to
why,
hear
why
all the
did,
commotion.
why, no, but why did he have to call 911? Why did the boyfriend call 911? Why weren't the
That
pair,
too.
why weren't the police offering, because they are first responders, why weren't they offering some type of aid?
Exactly. And then, if you notice in part of the video, one of the guys that they interviewed was a police officer. He was off duty and he lived in the complex. And he said he heard on the radio or whatever, that there was a shooting in the area, and then come to find out it was in his complex.
Right.
So, even during that time, and like you said, none of them called for EMT, for anybody to come,
they
and
they
literally
they
just
they were on the radio saying officer down, but they weren't
down,
saying
exactly that.
somebody else was down. And nobody, and come to
Right.
find out through the course of the video too, the document, I don't know if it's a documentary or what you would call it, but through the course of the documentary, we would come to find out that she was in the home,
The
dead
whole
or
time.
dying, for hours.
Yes.
We also watched the attorney general give his or do his song and pony
What he thinks
dance.
happened.
Doing
Right. Or what he thinks happened.
right. Well, ah, my mama told me if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say
And
nothing.
then they say, don't say nothing at all, right?
Right. So with he was saying that her injuries that she suffered would have, she was shot six
Six
times.
times.
He was saying that
Yes.
it was only that the sixth bullet was the fatal shot, and with that shot, she would have died within seconds, within
Second.
seconds or 2 minutes. But as we watch the video, we're finding out that she was just laying there on the ground on her
In the
apartment
corner
floor
of the hallway.
in the corner of
Yes.
her hallway for hours. And her mom would get on the
Waited
come
out.
there and try to see what's going on with her daughter. And that same officer who lived in the apartments now is dressed in his uniform, is down there talking to the mother, saying, "We can't tell you. I'm not at liberty to tell you what happened." And it wasn't until 11 a.m. the next day.
The next day. But first, they sent her
And
to
they,
the
and they didn't
hospital.
even tell her that she
They
was. They didn't even
probably
tell the mother that she was deceased. She just said that they just told her that she was still in the house, and she had to figure out, put two and two for herself, and said, "Oh, well, my
together.
daughter is passed."
Right. Sent her to the hospital the first time. She said she waited at the hospital 2 hours. And then they finally said, well, we don't, have a record of her. So then she
Anybody
goes
by that
back to the
name
apartment
even coming to this
to the
hospital?
hospital.
Right.
Then she goes back to the apartment complex. And then I think she said she did talk to that particular detective. And then she talked to somebody else. And then they never gave her any information. So she's literally outside the apartment the whole night. And then she doesn't get any information until, like you said, 11 o'clock the next day about what's going on with her daughter.
Right. So let's watch this clip
And
real quick.
I
You can say what you're saying.
oh no, I was just gonna say it's like you said, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But I will say this: it's just a very sad situation, and it's sad that these situations have become the norm. And it's just I just pray to God that at some point we cannot continue to have these conversations about police and their and how they kind of abuse their authority in
Right.
not doing the right thing.
Right. So let's watch this video, and maybe during the course of watching it, we both can be thinking about maybe what could be some solutions to this. Well, it's a pandemic in itself. How
It really is.
people or minorities are being targeted the way that they're being targeted, because the way this is looking out to me is looking like an assassination,
Assess.
or an execution is the word that I was looking for. An execution. We
Yep.
had a minor discussion after we watched it, and I was explaining that back in the olden days, when they did do executions by firing squad, that there would only be one individual who had an actual live round ammunition. All the others would shoot blanks. That way, that they, by their somehow corrupt and crooked calculations, would say nobody could be guilty or nobody can be blamed for that person's death. But they know what they know what they were going there to do. So
Right.
the end result is that a person died. So regardless of
Right.
you shot the live round or if you shot the blank, you were still party
You
to
still
that
had a
action.
part.
Right.
Exactly.
So in this situation, modern day executions, everybody shoots, everybody has live rounds, but when it goes back to forensics and stuff like that, and bullet trajectories, can't even say the word, but as they calculate them out, they will be able to say, well, we can't figure out who shot
Who
the
did
fatal
what?
shot, so we can't pin the murder on one individual. So there's not enough
Okay, so then
evidence.
in those cases, it should be everybody should be responsible because everybody played a part in shooting, regardless of whose bullet did the final, put the nail in the coffin. I understand what you're saying in the legalities of in it, but I guess emotionally, and it's
Did it kick us off, or did you freeze? Well, she's gonna come back and she's gonna give the rest of her explanation. But in the meantime, so you're back. So as I was, what you were saying is agreeable. Um, uh, just because they can't pinpoint who put the nail in the coffin, somebody they should be able to figure it out because
yeah,
when a bullet enters a person, it depending on the caliber, it has an entry wound and an exit wound. The exit wound is usually bigger than the entry wound. So depending on where she got shot, whether
hmm
if it was in the front or in the back side or wherever, they should be able to figure that out. But again, something smells fishy.
right.
They let's just watch this clip real quick.
Okay.
911, where's their emergency?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend.
Okay, where are you located?
3003 Springfield Drive, apartment 4. Oh my God.
How old is your girlfriend?
She's 26. Bring it. Oh my
You said
God.
26. Where was she shot at?
I don't know. She's on the grill right now. I don't know.
Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No, she's not. Bring. God. Hell. Oh my God. Yes.
Can you check and see where she's been shot at?
I can't get on the stomach. No,
Okay.
No, breathe.
Okay.
I think this is
Kenneth, can you hear me?
Regardless of whose bullet did the final, put the nail in the coffin. I understand what you're saying in the legalities of in it, but I guess emotionally, and it's
Depending on the caliber, it has an entry wound and is the guy who is being indicted on
on the ground.
Okay, where are you located?
3003 Springfield Drive, apartment 4. Oh my God.
How old is your girlfriend? Can you check and see where she's been shot at?
sponsored by the New York Times in any way, shape, or form. But hey, y'all get a whiff of this, and you want to sponsor us? Hey,
Right.
anyway, that was the phone call, the 911 call
From the
from
boy.
from the boyfriend. Did you hear anything in the background?
No, I didn't hear any commotion. I didn't hear any police saying get down on the ground, you're under arrest. I didn't hear any of that. It's
None
like
of that.
this eerie quiet in the back, and that's crazy to me.
All right, very crazy. So this is the front of the apartment. These cones here are evidence. They're shells. I just wanted to bring this up because you're going to see some things here that you haven't, most people haven't seen. There's
Right.
no real gore. So I'm just putting that out there for everybody. Don't worry, there's not going to be any of that.
Yeah.
So this is the front of the apartment. This is
Her patio.
Hinkinson. Hinkinson is the guy who is being indicted on charges of the wanton endangerment, which is shooting and you're firing or discharging your firearm without having a clear sight of the target. That's really what the breakdown of that is. And he's getting charged with 3 counts of that for three of the one charge per individual that was in the apartment adjacent to her. We don't really want to get into the race of it and all, but it
Yeah.
kind of breaks down to the fact that
The
we
couple
know
that was in the other apartment was not the same color as Breonna Taylor and her
right,
husband.
and because their lives was in danger, they had enough evidence really to even put the emotion aside about that is because they couldn't sweep this under the rug. They probably still wanted to,
But
but
they could.
because so many people saw him and they saw him shooting in and they they saw this guy. Now they can't totally dismiss it like they want to. So this is where Hinckley shot in,
Her apartment.
or Hinkinson. It's the front of the apartment, right in this area right here. Where he would have been. She. This is also the bedroom. If you notice, there's a couple of entry wounds, or not entry wounds, but entry shots here. These are shell casings. Uh, uh, the trajectory when they did their forensics. These are like hollow tubes, almost like straws. They're really, really long, and they guess where the bullet came from and where the bullet is going via these
Straws.
implements here. Yeah. This is the screen door. This is inside of the drapes of the front door. Down there were several officers here in the front door that were also shooting. Nobody saw this right here. This is why they weren't able to going back towards this direction. If you go in the door here, that's parking lot. So they were shooting in that direction, so they could not get indicted with the wanton endangerment because behind that is nothingness. Well, there's more apartments, but it's further away, so they couldn't indict those officers on that. The bathroom. This is the the boyfriend's gun. Now, what's kind of silly, not silly, but I don't understand this, is how is there a bullet? This is a bullet, not a shell, but an actual bullet
In
right
the
there
shower.
in the shower that was fired from the gun, and it doesn't look like it hit anything, but it's a spent bullet, but it's not. It doesn't look like it. I don't know what stopped that bullet,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
they just put it there. Why did you just put now? Okay, so things that people might not know. So Jamarcus Cordell Glover is the ex-boyfriend of Breonna Taylor. Not to put his business out there because his business ain't my business, but we'll just say it like this. He had some dealings and things maybe people shouldn't be dealing in. And because she is proxy to him, and she allowed him to have his mail delivered to her house, is why they
Had the search warrant for her
served the
apartment.
search warrant for her house. They weren't going to a wrong apartment. They were going to her apartment. It was listed for her because of this. This is Jamaica. The evidence is right here that she was allowing this individual to send mail to her address. This is Me and you both know what this is.
Yep, that is a jail letter.
Right. Uh, been there, done that. Praise God, and I hope I never have to go back. This is Officer Britt Hinkinson. This is the guy right here. When we watched the video, they
We
said
found
that
out some interesting things about him. To say the least.
right when we saw the video, we were able to find out that he where from his vantage point. Now remember that we were the she was shot a total of 6 times.
Yes,
The one of the officers in the video said that from where he was standing, it could have very well been him to have delivered all of those 5 shots to her. Now they don't want to come outright and say he's the killer,
he did it,
but they
but
will
all evidence
roundabout
points
they
to
will
him.
roundabout say it's most likely that it was his weapon that discharged the fatal shot. So yeah, that's that guy. Um, he likes to go around and pick up on, well,
Women
yeah. But again,
and also they are saying that there are other instances where I guess he was involved in different drug busts, I guess, and that he's taken unsolicited money just from the paperwork from what we saw in the video. This is all stuff that we saw. This is not anything that,
we're making
you
up.
know,
You can go watch this
right, we're
video
not
for
making it
yourself.
up.
You can go
Yes.
watch this video for yourself, and you can look this stuff up for yourself. And I'm going to
Right.
provide all this information in the description or on the end card at the end of the video, of just to give you a little bit of a jumping point off to do your own
Right.
investigation. Now, this is
Right.
the boyfriend. He don't look like somebody who's too happy. He
No.
looked like he's seen, like he
Been
just
through a lot.
witnessed the death of his loved one. You're like, why are y'all making me take this picture? This is what it looks like when it hits something. You see how the front of it is flattened a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, that bullet hit something. Now, if we go back to the one of the
Previous one, it was
and
still
it was
round.
still round at the front.
Right.
One of these bullets came through here. There was another one of those straw trajectory things that they use. So they were able to say that this bullet was going, let's say that is a 45-degree angle. So I don't know how that could have been unless this cabinet is up in the air somewhere and then not on the ground, you know what I'm saying? Because if this
Yeah.
is on the
Yeah.
ground, how is this bullet shooting up? You see how you see the
Yeah.
cursor, right? If you follow the
Yes, I do.
cursor, it's going that way, right?
Oh,
You would
yes.
assume that if it was on the ground, that the bullet would be going this way,
Hmm.
right?
So maybe it's her cabinet over like the stove or something. It
I
could be
did,
one of those.
yeah, but who do you keep your cooking pots in the top
No,
cabinet?
no, no. So yeah,
Now this is kind of crazy. This is looks to be like an underwear drawer with a bullet in it. So
so
this
they
is
all these different shots.
so look, this is on the floor. Now we just looked at that other one
Okay.
where this was going up like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I see it.
Now
It's
you
on
see
the
that it's
floor.
going down, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, let's put it. Let's try to get the gears turning here. You know how yesterday we were watching another movie. It's a fictional movie where the guy was on the motorcycle. He got on the motorcycle and his hood was out, and then
Yes.
they cut to another scene and he didn't have a hood at
And it
all.
was
There was
intense
no
at
hood
all.
at all. And then they'll
Yes.
cut back to another scene, and then he all of a sudden the jacket had a hood again.
Right. Yes.
Okay, think like that about this picture, based on what we saw in the previous picture, where this purple straw was pointing at a trajectory that was up at an angle that would lead the cursor to go up like this, right?
Yes.
Now we see it that it's going like this. What changed?
It's just I think that was intentional. They intentionally could have placed that
There's
in there.
something
Yeah.
is fishy. Now that's not just with that. We watched in another video where um, let me go back here. Stop share. Where we're not in another video, but in the same New York Times presents the killing of Breonna Taylor. Uh, they were saying that there was no possible way that there was an officer who was shot. There was no way that that officer could have been shot uh, via friendly fire. It had to have been from the boyfriend. They were also saying that the caliber
Right.
of the bullet, excuse me, the caliber of the bullet that the boyfriend was using was a 9 millimeter, and the ones that the police officers are 45. Now, officers can have their service weapon, and then they can have
Hmm.
their own personal weapon that they
Own
can
person.
use while they're on duty. Now, it is convenient for the attorney general to say that all the officers had a 45 caliber weapon, and that's all that they were shooting, because maybe in that jurisdiction, all of the officers are issued a 45 caliber
The,
weapon. Period. But everybody knows, or that you didn't know, now you know, an officer can also use his own weapon. Now,
weapon.
why am I saying that? I'm saying that to say because, okay, everybody, we messed up. We thought that this was the
Hmm.
person. It's not the person. This
And
person
it's
is
not.
dead. Now, what are we going to do to clean about it? Clean it up. All right, who we're going to draw a straw. Whoever draws the shortest straw is going to have to get shot
Get
in
shot.
the foot, shot
Right.
somewhere. And so,
To make it look like
right, you
he
see
was
where I'm
shot
going, right?
first.
So you see where I'm going.
Hmm.
So we're not trying to make this video all extra super long, and hopefully, we just wanted to put all the information out there, and we want to send our condolences to her family. We
Yes.
appreciate what they are doing to be positive in this situation. They
Right.
have Breonna's law has been
In
started in
Kentucky.
Kentucky, where they stop no knock warrants now. They are trying to implement other things within their city and then within their state to prevent
Yes.
this from happening again. So kudos to her sister, kudos to the her family, Breonna Taylor's
The
family.
mother.
We commemorate you for what you are doing. Again, this is not to be lighthearted on the situation. We just
Right.
want to put the information out there. I
Right.
am James
It's really
Bar.
just to be more. I'm sorry. It's just to be more informed about everything and just really just get people to open their minds and really just see what's happening. And it is
Right,
good that they are trying to make things better. So
right. And hopefully, this indictment will be fruitful, because if it is his shots that caused her death, then maybe he won't get the murder charge that he deserves, but he will get these other wanton endangerment, and he would not be able to
yes.
be a police officer after that effect. And after he serves his time, he would not be able to go into that profession again. Uh, I
Right.
don't know what's going to happen with the other individuals, but my recommendation is that they lose their job.
Right.
Though I am
Yes.
not anybody, that I'm just another guy on
We are a
YouTube
child of God.
and a child of God. Amen. But with that, I am James Barjuda. This is Shed Some Light. This is my wife might choose. If y'all didn't know, she's my wife. But my wife might choose to use this for her own show as well. So let's let her do
Yes.
her thing.
Yes. And again, I am Sophia from the heart. And if you have not checked out any of my videos, I pray that you do. Actually, when his video ends, some of my videos pop up. So just kind of stick around, watch, what I'm doing, and you may like it. And if you do, just subscribe, share, comment. Yeah.
All of the above. Thank you,
Yes.
Miss Sophia from the heart, for being a guest.
Thank you, James Barjuda. Shed some light, sir.
Hopefully, we could do it again about a more light-hearted subject.
Hearted situation. Yes.
Yep. All right. Bye.
God bless. Bye.
Another reading. This is going to be a Bible verse, Matthew 10, verses 28 through 34.
All right.
To hear anything else from anybody else, where are the checks and balances? There's an old saying, absolute power ruins absolutely.
Taunted me by my name, so I decided to go by my middle name, which is James. That's the simple part for that.